discuss the Jubilee debate that was one black conservative, which happened to be Tatum, versus 20 black liberals. And the one thing that I found really interesting about this was his debate tactics. Like, the reason you go on these are to debate. You go back and forth, point for point, and, it's an intelligent process. And he didn't seem to get that. So I wanted to get your take on like what his tactics were to like point out where he's definitely being coached.
The first thing you gotta, remember the whole conservative liberal system is flawed.
Mm-hmm.
The way they have it set up so that they can get people situated into these different bullpens.
Mm-hmm.
If you support this, that, and the third, it means you're automatically liberal. Or if you support, this, that, and the third, you're automatically conservative. But then there's something on the other side you are, for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no fluidity allowed.
Right. Whereas the odd thing is African people in Africa as a continent and African countries are universally conservative.
Mm-hmm.
This is conservative cultures, conservative people, but somehow in America, being conservative is somehow a white thing. It's a white man thing.
Yeah.
And then, it goes against your grain, because there are things that are on the left that are okay. These
Mm-hmm.
things, there's certain things that are okay. But the system itself is flawed.
Yeah. And I mean, if you go throughout history, it's flip-flop back and forth.
Yeah. Like I personally believe, a woman has a right to do, whatever it is she trying to do with her body.
Mm-hmm.
She's got, she wants to, take care of something with her body. That's her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's discussed between her and her significant other and
her physician.
Her physician and her, her spiritual or religious practices.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have anything to do with the government. Just safe facilities and adequate health care supposed to be provided.
Yeah, the only thing the government should have say over is safety.
Exactly. But because I support that doesn't mean I'm liberal.
Yeah.
But that's how the system is constructed.
Yeah.
And so it's the system itself is annoying.
Yeah.
Because the people won't collectively. In ancient Greece, if you didn't educate yourself on politics and the government, machinations of politics and government affairs, the word that they have for that was an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that word in a much broader meaning, but in ancient Greece, it just meant a person was ignorant to the machinations of politics and government.
Mm-hmm. So where do you think Tatum falls within that? I'm blanking on the word. Description or definition?
Tatum, it falls in the modern definition of an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Just broadly ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's making, and the thing is, he was using several logical fallacies during the debate.
Mm-hmm.
He'll use a straw man,
mm-hmm.
which is like constantly moving the issue.
Yeah.
So every time you one of the college kids try to make a point with him, he'll move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like playing 3-card Molly or something.
Yeah.
And then he's got these bully tactics. He won't let anybody finish what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
He'll adjust the argument so that he can win it,
mm-hmm.
Which is a straw man argument.
Yeah.
He won't argue the point.
He won't even let the full question come out because a lot of the questions needed some context to get to the actual question, and he'd start asking things on the context, and it's like, no, 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 no. That's just a background so that I could ask you this, and you couldn't even get to the
You
question.
can't. He won't. But that's intentional.
Yeah.
So he's clever like a fox. You know, one of the debaters he was a high school teacher, history teacher, and been, I think he maybe 10, 20 years he'd been doing it. And he was talking to him about, was it Booker T. Washington?
Yeah.
And Booker T. Washington's philosophy on the American slave experience. And, you know, Booker T. Washington was really the first coon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the original, like the original coon.
Mm.
He was making an argument that black people were not fit for American society. Black people were not fit for politics. Now, remember, this is right in the face of right after the Civil War, when we went right into Reconstruction under Ulysses S. Grant. Black people exploded into local government and state and federal government positions. It was an explosion,
right,
of all these capable men and women,
extremely fit.
Yeah, that you thought they were just ignorant people, and all of a sudden you have these intellectual giants of, you know, of darker complexion sitting next to you that is not playing the game of, you know, shucking and jiving and moving the ball and smoking mirrors, which calls for a much more honest government.
Yeah.
So they had to do whatever they can to eradicate that surgence of African Americans into politics. And then at the same time, we had, you know, all these black settlements rising up, and towns that were successful across America.
Yeah.
And this is immediately during a Reconstruction.
Yeah.
And so Tatum, he's not studied up on any of these things.
No.
He's more like a sock puppet. Somebody's got their hand up his ass,
right,
and you know he's going by a specific agenda to play this game that he's trying to play. But I think it's extremely important to tear him down, because this using Tatum is the same tactic that's being used throughout history to rewrite history.
Yeah.
This is how history is rewritten.
Can you give me an example?
Well, you've heard that expression, history is written by the victors.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, we just had this, remember we had the debate a little bit ago about, you know, race studies in school. Critical race theory. And nobody wants to have this studied in school because they're too extreme. They're too ashamed of the past. Nobody wants to come to terms with what has happened to this people, because one thing, it's extremely beyond unfair what you've done to an entire culture of people. And then the discussion of resilience is going to have to come up.
Yeah.
Because what's happened to African Americans in this country would have, you know, all but wiped anybody else out.
Yeah.
And African Americans are still doing much more than thriving and surviving. They're excelling.
Yeah.
And so how do you account for that when you have done everything, you've pulled out all the stops to try to destroy an entire people, you know?
Yeah.
And so every time, you know, we reach these moments in history where it's time to rewrite history, there's a new tactic to do it. And so what we're doing is we're building this plane on the runway. We have to figure out a way to rewrite history, right? As we're making history, we want to rewrite it. And so this is what Tatum's role is. Tatum doesn't even know the role that he's playing in this.
Right.
You know, he thinks he's playing some little right-wing game, but they're using him to try to rewrite history.
Right.
And so this is and it'll stick if he doesn't get the pushback that he's getting, or if black culture, or, you know, we have all these black podcasters out here that keep talking about, you know, stuff that doesn't matter. They switch issues like this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When there's
like this needs to be drilled.
This needs to be drilled. This needs to be stomped out. He needs to be completely finished, because he's not going to stop trying to rewrite history.
Right. And there is a point, I think you told me, and then D.L. Hughley actually said it too on one of the interviews he was on after we discussed it, is that some people are hearing some of this stuff, like the Tulsa riots and stuff like that, for the first time, and they're hearing it from Tatum.
Yeah.
Which is entirely inaccurate and like beyond erroneous.
Well, that's why he has to be challenged. That's why he has to be completely knocked out. He's got to be KO'd, like DL was saying. And he was pointing to the Tom Hanks instance, when Tom Hanks said, you know, who made the decision for me that I shouldn't know about the Tulsa massacre?
Yeah.
Like, who decided that wasn't important enough for me to know? And he was genuinely upset about it, because probably throughout his lifetime, not knowing certain things about your entire culture and about your entire environment, what that does is it facilitates certain prejudices in you without you realizing it. It programs certain prejudices in you. So you have, you have white people running around here that do not know the full history of what has happened to people of color in this country. And so they're jammed down their throat that you have, black people as a whole, we're underachievers or something.
Yeah.
We don't excel at this, or we don't excel at that, or we're good in this position and that position, or not these positions, all that type of stuff. When you don't have an honest depiction or honest telling of history, you have no choice but to buy into certain fallacies and buy into certain prejudices. It's part of the programming without your permission. So you encounter these people in your lifetime, and you automatically believe these things about them, and not knowing that you're face to face with some of the most resilient creatures that have ever lived. And that's why they're still achieving unbelievable things.
Yeah.
And so that was Tom Hanks' thing. And so you think about the role Tatum is playing in that. He got him out here with this huge microphone talking about the Tulsa massacre like it was a lunchroom fight.
Yeah.
You know, like some black people and some white people, they got into a little tussle, and the white people got got the better. I don't even want to debate this dude, because he doesn't have the brain matter. I want to challenge him to a duel.
Right.
You know, slap him across his mouth with a glove and take 10 steps.
Right. I think there's a line for that.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I want to do with him. Yeah, you can't debating him for what? He's not there. There's no logic. This guy's got an agenda, and you're gonna try and have an intellectual exchange with this guy, and he's gonna be talking about, I know you are, but what am I?
Right.
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah.
You know, he's Pee Wee. This is Pee Wee Herman.
Right. It was crazy too because one of the things he said, like in some other interviews he did, he's talked about how he's an American first, then he's a Christian, and then he's a black man. And whatever you want to believe, like that's fine. But in the Jubilee thing, he went on and he said that, Martin Luther King embraced theology, which is like a black man leading a black man off a cliff. But to me, that's like directly, opposed to him being, so Christian. Like, what's I don't I they
Make it make sense.
Yes. I'm so confused.
That expression, that's what the kids are saying these days. Make it make sense. Yeah. You can't make it make sense.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand what he's saying. Mm-hmm. That's why he's 1 minute he's saying I won't cry if my son dies, but he's on national internet. He's on the World Wide Web, and he's crying over the white man Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And he won't even cry if his own son dies.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's no reconciliation of opposites there. He's not even aware of himself from minute to minute. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When he started crying over Charlie Kirk, he probably forgot that he said he wouldn't cry over his son or cry in front of his wife because nothing he says or does is genuine.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no consistency in what he says or in his behavior patterns, because none of it's genuine. So he'll say one, he doesn't realize how often he's putting his foot in his mouth. His whole ideology and his whole platform is based on theology. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't understand that. And so that's why he said the horrible thing about MLK. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the kids was debating him on MLK, and he's blurting. He has a problem with blurting.
Yeah.
That's the blurting is in the, it's in the Tourette's family. Mm-hmm. But it is a thing. Mm-hmm. He blurts, and so the kid is trying to have a intellectual exchange with him, and he's calling MLK a whoremonger.
Right.
Just saying disrespectful things. Mm-hmm. How can you're throwing your full support? That the one kid said they bring up the fact that Donald Trump's racist, and he's making every excuse he can for the post with the president and the first lady Obama. With the monkey makeup, the monkey get up thing, and he's making every justification he can for this current president, but you got the nerve to call MLK a whoremonger.
Yeah.
What do you call this guy?
Right. I mean,
if you call
he's convicted, and with Stormy Daniels, like that whole thing, like what.
We ain't even gonna go down that rabbit hole,
right?
But that's my point. How are you defending him, but calling MLK a whoremonger? Yeah. Now, MLK's philosophy, Christianity, and I don't necessarily agree with his particular ideology about certain things. Mm-hmm. Let somebody slap you in your face or something like that. I can't say that I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that MLK was coming from a place of being genuine.
Yeah, and trying to create genuine change.
He was trying to create genuine change. Whatever he was doing in the hotel room, I don't care. I don't want to discuss it.
Right.
The only reason you know it is because the agency was trying to trash him.
Right.
There was no talk about him doing something against somebody's will. He didn't make anybody do anything.
Mm-mm.
So whatever he did in his personal life is between him and his wife, him and his children,
Yeah.
and what he did or what he was trying to do for the nation and for the people is what should be discussed.
Yeah.
Not the calling him a whoremonger. And
Right.
so that tells you the kind of person that Tatum is.
Yeah.
You don't debate a person like that.
You can't. Like you said, he'll just keep moving the ball, and you won't even be able to get the question out.
Yeah, you don't call this man names like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't.
That's an insane low.
Yeah, that's an insane low. And you dying on this hill for Charlie Kirk that said he wouldn't even ride a plane if you were the pilot.
Right. You're best friends, but you weren't allowed at his funeral or to speak at his funeral, but you're best friends.
And this is the danger of this guy. This is
Yeah.
why this guy can't be overlooked, because he's doing something that Charlie Kirk couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to rewrite Black history
Mm-hmm.
in a way that Booker T. Washington was trying to explain away the enormous talents of Black people
Mm-hmm.
and diminish them.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what Tatum's legacy is trying to become. He should not, cannot be ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole of Black content creators that are converging on him should continue to do that until he's completely out of the arena.
Yeah.
Or until his voice is so destroyed that it is not a reference point in history.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're trying to make it.
Yeah, and right now with the Nolan Wells thing, he's really gassed up. They have him on Nancy Grace. Even if he's not on, she's using his content, or mentioning him because he's, done these interviews, and it's like he's really he's drinking his own Kool-Aid on this, and going on Piers Morgan, like he's getting this platform that's really big that he thinks he's being taken seriously, but he's like a joke on all of it.
Well, he is a joke, and he is being taken seriously. That's why I'm talking about him, because people are taking him serious. Black culture in this country is very traumatized culture. Yeah. And what trauma does on an individual basis, what it can do on a social level or an individual level, or collectively or individually, it can traumatize your memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why Black culture has such a short memory. So they're not tying together a sequence of events, a sequence of dominoes that has led up to Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum is in a sequence of dominoes. He is that same sequence of dominoes that Medgar Evers was murdered right in front of his wife and his children. Mm-hmm. MLK was murdered. Malcolm X was murdered. Mm-hmm. Emmett Till was murdered. Mm-hmm. Jeff Fort was locked away for 1,000 years and lied on. Stokely Carmichael was ran out the country. Dr. Angela Davis was tried by the federal government. The list is on and on.
Yeah.
Even Huey Newton was ultimately gunned down. You see, it's a long list.
Yeah.
But now that we've wiped out all your very capable and very powerful Black leaders that were chosen by nature, that could have had unbelievable effect. Even J. Edgar Hoover's cross-dressing as said, you know, we're going to have to look out for a black messiah. And this is why they, you know, killed
Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton. This is why they killed Fred Hampton. And so now that everybody's wiped out, we'll give you your leader.
Right.
His name's Tatum.
Right.
And as ridiculous as that may sound, that's what they're trying to do. And so this is why he has to be completely torn down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's being propped up as this voice will decide what your voice is.
That just made my stomach turn.
Yeah. But you have to see it in the sequence of events.
Right.
He's not an isolated occurrence. You see, everything that's being done, it's like that old adage, that old axiom, you know, you plant a tree today knowing you won't be able to sit in the shade of it. So this nonstop generational attack that's been happening on black culture, it occurs over generations. The war on drugs, when you took mass incarceration, and it led to a generation of crack babies, and now we got children, 2 generations, no fathers in the home, and they're sagging their pants, and so now we get to sit around and talk about, you know, black on black crime. Everybody's got crime. You got black on black crime, you got white on white crime, you got brown on brown crime. You know what I mean? You got yellow on yellow crime. Everybody's got their own crime.
Right.
So why is black on black crime always a topic of conversation? It's because you wouldn't have black on black crime if it wasn't part of a specific orchestra.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, anybody in the neighborhood could whoop your ass. Anyone in the neighbors, you saw you doing something, you get your ass whooped by Mr. So and so, Miss So and so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole neighborhood was your mama.
Yeah. It takes a village.
It takes a village, and you know, that's what was attacked.
Right.
You see what I mean? And so, you know, now you prop up Tatum, who was a patrol officer for 6 years, that barely know anything about it. And then, like DL said, he was a patrol officer in Tucson.
Right.
You wasn't a patrol officer in Chicago.
Or Watts.
Or Detroit, Houston.
Yeah.
Any of the wards.
Yeah.
You know, or Louisiana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Philadelphia. You wasn't a patrol officer in these places where, you know, life is just as dangerous for a cop as it is for a black man. You know, black or white. You got decent cops out there that risk their lives, that are not corrupt, evil people, and they risk their lives to make communities safe. And you know, they want to make it home too.
Yeah.
Tatum never went through that.
No.
You see my point?
I don't think he's ever had to shoot his weapon other than whatever practicing you have to do to, you know, pass the academy.
This guy's never been through anything. You can listen to him talk. He's never been to anything. He's never been checked. Yeah. He's never looked death in the face. He's never looked evil in the face. He's never seen evil. He doesn't even know that evil is real. Right. He's never looked death in the face. He's never seen it. He's never held anybody dying in his arms that he loved. He's never seen anybody, you know, he's never witnessed any of these things. Yeah. And you can tell by his rhetoric.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no rails. There's no banisters. There's no safeguards. There's no self-check. There's nothing. He just flies off the handle, and he's subject to saying anything. He disrespects everybody that sits in front of him. You know, he tries to bully everybody. There's no intellectual integrity. You know, he's a sock puppet.